Today's devotion is two small coins taken from Luke chapter 21, verses 1 through 4. Jesus looked up and saw rich people putting their gifts into the treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in two small copper coins. Jesus notices the poor widow. Jesus understands the depth of the sacrifice those two copper coins represent. How many temple goers failed to see her or thought little or not at all of the small contribution she put in the treasury? Jesus saw the woman. Jesus saw her fully. Jesus recognized both her person and her circumstance and held it up to those who no doubt looked past her that day and every day. While this story is often used in stewardship season as an example of generosity, perhaps a better interpretation requires that we truly and fully see the widow as Jesus did. Putting in all she had, jeopardizing her well-being, may indeed be an example of her piety and faith, but it also reveals a less than flattering aspect of the institution to which she turns over her two small coins. Widows and orphans, the vulnerable and marginalized, should be the very ones the coins in the treasury support, not exploit. Jesus notices the poor widow and the rich. Jesus understands the impact of both their giving on themselves, the temple, and the community. Jesus sees the relationship between the poor widow and the rich, both going to worship, and calls upon those gathered around him to see that relationship too. The last verse of chapter 20, which comes just prior to Jesus' pointing out the widow and the rich, denounces the scribes with this indictment. They devour widows' houses for the sake of appearance and say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation, from verse 47. Jesus is not so much praising the widow's sacrificial giving as condemning those who fail to notice her and see her predicament. God never rejoices in giving until it hurts. Jesus condemns those who devour the widow's houses, especially those who do so in the name of the Lord. Television preachers who prey on those desperate and afraid, promising miracles for the right donation, scribes who take the prime seats in the synagogue but neglect to care for the poor, Christians who worship on Sunday and cheat their customers on Monday. Jesus notices them along with the widow and her two small coins. He understands the relationship between the two. He recognizes the hypocrisy of those who feel righteous in their tithing and temple attendance, but neglect the poor widow without two coins to rub together. He calls upon those gathered around him, listening, to see the poor widow, truly regard her, and to care about her. He calls upon disciples to address the circumstances and systems and institutions that compel her to put all she has to live on in the treasury. The point of this exchange is not so much about sacrificial giving as it is about communal living, who we notice, whose gifts count, and how the systems all around us impact each and every person. Our questions for reflection: who are the poor widows in your church and community? Do you even notice them? Everyone has gifts to share. How do we invite the people to share their gifts in ways that are life-giving and not exploitive? How do you decide what is faithful to give to the church? Charity, individuals. And now we'll close with prayer. Jesus, we gather around you and ask to hear what you want to teach us today. Who do you want us to notice? What do you want us to do about those right now who have nothing to live on? Help us to give faithfully, no matter if we only have two small coins or a large bank account. Help us to see both rich and poor through your eyes and with your compassion. Amen.